If you have even the smallest passion for good storytelling, good cinematography, or good anything, you should have already watched Dark and become one of those people that try to get others to watch Dark. For those who don't know, Dark is Netflix's first German language original show, and it is, in my opinion, unbelievably good. So, first off, yeah, the show's in German. That might put some people off, but trust me, you get used to it pretty quick. You can watch it dubbed, although I don't recommend it because the dub is terrible, and it doesn't really detract much, so just bear with it because it's worth it. Because this show does what I feel many other series are scared to do: build its own style. TV series have come a long way. They now rival Hollywood in terms of popularity. The rise of streaming services has changed the way we watch them, and in general, we've seen an upward trend in terms of quality, both in production values and writing. That said, to me, there's always one aspect of television and even film that disappoints me: stylistic creativity. With the advent of streaming services and mega franchises in Hollywood, film and television have become a huge market. Like any market, this means that trends have developed, formulas. Studio execs know what people like, and thus they want to make stuff that is similar to it to attract an established demographic. Whether or not this is a good thing, I'd rather not discuss today. Today, I just want to talk about style. With this extraordinary rise in the amount of content, it becomes easy to see how many shows and movies are starting to look alike. The cinematography, the editing, the tone, it all starts to look remarkably similar, at least to me. This doesn't inherently reduce the quality of the films and shows. Many of them are great. But to me, the exceptions are the ones worth talking about, at least in terms of style. The movies and shows that stick with you after you watch them. And today, the one I want to talk about is Dark. In this video essay, I want to talk about how Dark differentiates itself from other shows of its kind, starting with the plot. This is, by far, the hardest part of the show to talk about, because it's extremely easy to spoil stuff without meaning to. Dark starts off with a premise similar to Stranger Things. A young boy goes missing in a small town, but by the end of episode 1, you realize that this show is way more complex than Stranger Things. Dark has an extremely mind-bending story. I have a feeling it's intentionally confusing at times. To put it lightly, this show is a time travel show. If you've ever seen the film Predestination, which I highly recommend if you're into complex sci-fi, it's kind of like that. I don't want to spoil anything about the way the show handles its plot, because any hint about how the story goes could alter the viewing experience. You can tell it's all been mapped out from the very beginning. The narrative is bolstered by a complicated web of characters, with each one motivated by different objectives. This show captures the essence of small towns, where everyone is hiding something, everybody knows everybody, all the characters are connected, and every character matters. This would be a complicated narrative as is, but it's especially complicated by the time travel aspect of the show. Everything loops back on itself. There are so many variables to consider, you wonder at the scope and planning that had to go in to map out the series. The show is 2 seasons in as of now, with the third being the last. The first season was solid, with the second upping the complexity and the drama without losing narrative momentum. It's an incredibly complex puzzle box, and while it can be very confusing most of the time, as long as you're paying attention, you're never completely lost. That said, I don't recommend taking too much time between episodes. I took a pretty long break from the show between seasons, and I was very lost when I came back. However, if you don't leave too much time between episodes, you should be fine. Like I said, it's tough to sell the show without spoiling the story, so I'm just going to jump ahead to how the style of the show is so unique. This show has one of the most distinct visual styles I think I've ever seen in a series. The cinematography by Nikolaus Summerer, coupled with the production design and editing, builds an intense and somber experience. Dark has a different feel to it than other shows. Shots are long and drawn out, with a droning soundtrack that puts you on edge. Its atmosphere is intentionally uncomfortable, with a sinister undercurrent to it. The downright bleak color palette and deep blacks add to the tone of the show. The aesthetic is, like I said, just unique. The editing is great too. It can sometimes feel slow, but it never feels like it's dragging. It's a slow burn, building up the suspense and the tension. Even lighthearted scenes, like a party or a lake swim, are tense. The camera almost always focuses on the character that's most uncomfortable in the scene. The show itself almost refuses to acknowledge happiness, pushing it to the background, and forcing the audience to experience the discomfort and stress of the characters. Many other shows have content that is tense and near disturbing, but Dark has a way of making the environment itself feel suffocating and anxiety-inducing. The visuals in this show are a completely different experience from anything else you can see on television. It has a way of making the mundane and normal feel polished and stylistic, yet sinister. There's a sense that there's always something happening right beneath the surface. Anyone who has the slightest interest in cinematography should watch this show. I'll also say the sound design and music of the show are great too. The experimental soundtrack by Ben Frost is appropriately foreboding and dark, no pun intended. It adds a disturbing edge to the tone of the show in some scenes.
Tiedemann, ich habe hier einen verletzten Jungen. Kann den einer von euch holen? Danke.
While in others, it's just gorgeous. It evokes a more restrained Hans Zimmer to me, and I mean that as a compliment. This tone might put some people off. The almost constant tension this show aims to achieve is downright disturbing, and it even put me off the first time I watched it. Yet that same tone is almost magnetic in a way. There's an overall sense of polish to the presentation of this show. It makes strong creative decisions that might put off some viewers, such as the bleak tone and the almost anxiety-inducing editing and camera work, which add to its complex themes and the suspense of the plot. I think anyone who is interested in filmmaking should watch this show, as it stands apart from others of its kind, establishing its own identity, separate from the others. The mistake other movies and shows make by imitating the style of what is popular and acclaimed is assuming the style itself was the instrument of its success. I think, however, the true value in shows such as Dark is how they're not afraid to stand as their own thing. High production values are great and all, but Dark proves that true creativity in science fiction storytelling is not limited by the amount of set pieces you can film. This is a riskier way of filmmaking, for sure. Imitating what is popular is a safer decision. But to truly stand out, you have to take risks. Hello, yes, hi, hello! You made it to the end of the video. I'm so proud of you. Not many make it this far. I'm planning on making this sort of a regular thing, talking about shows that stand apart from the crowd, so please let me know what others you think I should do. I won't waste your time asking you to subscribe, because that's your own decision, and I believe in unbiased choices, so, do what you will. I will, however, shamelessly promote the fact that I have another video up on this channel already, and I think you should watch it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.